meeting of September 30th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media Channel 9 and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees, Finance Committee especially. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and I'll read the community prayer. Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility, and especially we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we've been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen. Okay, welcome. The first item on the agenda is citizens' participation. So are there any citizens that wish to step forward? Okay, there be none. So our next agenda item is the Union Meeting House, 29 South Main Street, discussion and possible vote regarding a grant agreement and preservation restriction to memorialize town meeting appropriation of the Community Preservation Act funds for exterior painting and related work. So two things. We have our town council, Attorney Greg Corbo is on the phone here. We tried to get him conferenced in here, but we'll have a microphone, so if there are questions, then he can answer them. He's got till 6:30, so we'll move along. And then the second thing is that when I was reading through your officers last night, I noticed that I'm friends with one of the officers, so I did file a disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest because I am friends with one of the officers of the Union Society, and so I disclosed that I feel I can still perform my official duties objectively and fairly, even though I happen to be friends with one of your officers. So with that, I guess whoever is going to be the spokesperson, if you could please maybe come forward to the table and introduce yourself, your name, and whoever who wants to participate, and then we'll So please speak in the mic because we're recording and people are at home. So if you could at least introduce your name and your role with the Union Society.
Speak right into the mic.
Yeah, you have to be kind of close.
Thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Robert Andrews. I'm the president of the South Carver Union Society. I have some of my board members behind me. We filed through CPC, last year in the hopes of funding an exterior renovation to the Union Church. That included those rotted wood, decayed wood. Don't know when it was last done. So there's quite a bit of work to be done, and then a fresh coat of paint. That was approved through CPC, went to town meeting, was approved. We were anxious to get going, probably would have gotten going in June, but there were delays with the contractor. He was busy, and really as long as it was done during the fair weather period of the summer, we were fine with it. So the job started on August 11th. Concluded on September 6th. It was 4 weeks to the day. They had 4 guys. They worked 6 days a week. Extremely accommodating. The work was fabulous by our perspective. We were there daily looking at it. I will note that both Henry Williams and I, who were really there every day, the scope of work was from the roof line down. Even in language, that was the scope of work. And there's a lot of trim on that church, the green shutters and the green doors. And as we were concluding, we were looking at the church, marveling on how well it looked. And we looked at the bell tower and realized we really never mentally addressed that. and it's got, you know, the same green louvers that are on the shutters, and it looked terribly. And we mentioned it to the contractor, who's Jeff Cohen by chance. I don't know if any of you know him, he's very active in the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce and is actually the owner of the construction company. But he does less hands-on now and more charitable work and so forth. And we mentioned it to him, and he giggled, and he said, yeah, we've noticed the same thing. And just being a very decent person and company, they spent a half a day on a lift and painted the 4 sides of the bell tower. No extra costs. He grew up in Carver and felt very honored to be given the contract. So we concluded, interestingly, he never asked for money up front. We really weren't sure of the mechanisms here. Neither Henry or I in modern times have been through this. So we thought the process made sense to have One Stop Painting submit weekly bills. So that's what we did. And on toward the end of the second week, we realized there was a problem. And we still don't know the source of the problem, but departments in the town hall were unable to execute.
Okay.
And the project concluded, at which point Jeff said, do you have my check? And I've had the privilege of talking with him. This would be the 24th day.
Okay.
At least once a day. A very, very angry man.
Okay.
Who
So
has
hopefully
expressed
tonight.
his interest in
Yeah.
going to your office. And
Yeah.
I keep telling him, that's not going to accomplish anything.
Right.
Let the process work and let us find resolution. And we're hopeful here tonight that we have resolution.
Okay. So a couple of things, as you mentioned, just for the public and everything, is that, yes, town meeting, April 8, 2025, it was Article 9, did pass to appropriate the $67,000 from the Community Preservation Historic Preservation Reserve Fund to the Union Society for the purpose of repairing and replacing the exterior trim on the Union Society building in South Carver. Anything incidental or relative thereto, said funds to be expended under the direction of the Union Society. So yes, we do understand that the work was completed, and we'd like to support getting that contractor paid. So there were a couple of things that came up, I guess, and so we can go through each of them. And so as a result, our town council put together a grant agreement. So part of it was the entity. So I think what happened is that, when the grant agreement was being prepared for the grantee, so the nature of this is that, because of some changes which we'll talk about, like the use of the property, the fact that it's a historic property and things like that, I think that, if the town of Carver is providing funds for that, they want to make sure it preserves as a historic site and everything. So what happened is, as town council was putting together the grantee, 3 or 4 things happened. Well, 3 with the name. So since the application was filled out by what was called the Union Society of South Carver, so that was the name on the application that went in. So that was one name, and then the actual deed that was filed in 1909 calls it the Union Society. And then after town meeting and after the grant was, requested, then there was another name that was put in place called the South Carver Union Society LLC. So in terms of doing the grant, I guess the first part is, that town council wants to clear up is the proper name of the grantee that is in control of the funds and in control of the building that should be on the grant application, and also probably subsequently on the deed. So that was one part of it. Also going forward is that, due to the nature of providing the funds as a grant, then, it for the benefit of the citizens of Carver, because it's a historical resource to the town, we would like to make sure it stays that way. So the recommendation of town council is that we actually record what's called a historical preservation restriction, on the property. So the deed be updated properly, and we list that, that restriction, so that, it'll remain as the town has in the past provided funds, and potentially might in the future too, we're benefiting, so you're protecting it against, the entity or the grantee from selling the property and using it for another purpose. So that's what's on there now that needs to be resolved. I think that we can discuss that, but I don't know if you had a chance to look at the grant, the grant application or the form that we're asking to be signed by both the board on behalf of the town to provide the funds and your members. So we are asking that, the name get, clarified or straightened out, in the next 90 days, that it matches the grantee and the deed and all that, and then subsequently that the historical preservation restriction is added to the deed. So I guess in requesting that, we're asking, if that can be done, before we, consider voting to, sign the grant itself, and then, allow you to get the funds and pay the contractor. So those are the two things. Town council is on for a couple of minutes. So Attorney Corbo, is there anything you'd like to add to my comments before we get into discussion?
I think most of the points have been covered. The key here is that, these are legal documents that are going to protect the town so that anyone who looks, at the records for this property are going to see that, it is forever reserved for historical purposes. And that's not to say that, the people who are sitting in front of you wouldn't use it for that purpose, but, it's a requirement of the CPA law that, if you're going to give someone town money, you need to get something back. And so this is the way that the town gets something back. Typically we do it at the beginning of the project before any money is dispersed or before any work is done. And there are two pieces to it: the grant agreement, which is just an agreement between the grantee and the select board. And then there's the recording of the historical preservation restriction. So the complicating factor here was that, the entity that's on the deed right now, the Union Society, does not appear to exist. So the individuals who formed the South Carver Union Society wouldn't have any authority to give you a restriction on that property. And so we need them to clarify that and get their organization name on the deed. And then once they do that, we'll record the restriction and everything will be fine. And the other wrinkle here, of course, is that the work has been done. And so we don't want to hold up the contractor who did the work in good faith. And so the proposal that I put together is that, the town will provide them with the funds to pay the contractor, but, they have to do these things, within 90 days, or else, they're at risk that they're going to have to pay it back. And obviously we can extend that, for good cause shown, but, again, we have to have some assurance that this is actually going to be done. And
Okay.
no offense to anyone, but, that's my job to assume the worst.
Okay, Ms. Hewins?
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of clarify something. So essentially, as I understand it, what's being asked of you all is to get your attorney. You can even get him on the phone or in an email, have him change the name. He'll want you to come in person, the Union Society officers, and then within a week, they file it electronically at the registry. If you go there in person, the registry will say, well, we need an attorney to do this, so don't waste your time. I just happen to have done it recently. So that's really straightforward. And then, so that shouldn't even take 90 days, assuming,
If I could, I think we can offer a very clear explanation this evening. So the Union Society, as it's commonly been known, was created in 1909. And there have been different administrations along the way. But it's a long story that I don't want to bore you with all of the detail, but strictly as a church, it is no longer functional. It's not financially functional. The fixed costs for that building now are $7,000 a year, whether the door is open or closed. That's largely insurance, there's some electricity. So we have deficit spent for about 4 years, and we all know that you can only do that for so long. And we recognized that we needed to do something different. And our vision is it's always going to be a church when it needs to be a church. To me, I was asked to be president of the group a year and a half ago, and it was very, very obvious to me and the other board members, we need to do something different. And so some of you may be aware we've made attempts to do some theater there as a means of raising funds, and we've done a handful, and they've gone exceedingly well. Along the way, I'm trying to build the board. I'd like to introduce Sandy Coelho. She's new to the board. She's my treasurer and secretary. We have other board members who are new to us as well. And these new board members are going to help us to kind of go to another level. But again, always retaining it as a church. So now getting back to why did the name change? We noticed something interesting. We were not incorporated. And that represents a risk to board members, and it's just not good practice. We don't know when that occurred, but I think there's a paper process, and someplace in history, somebody didn't do some administrative work, and so the incorporation lapsed. And so Sandy took the task. She's familiar with the process. She said, I'll file the new incorporation work. And only to find out the state would not let us incorporate under the Union Society of Carver name. It had been used closely enough that they didn't want that to happen. So Sandy worked with them on the phone and jointly with somebody at the state, recognizing where is the church. They were apparently very, very helpful. They settled on South Carver Union Society, Inc. It was available, and that's what we did. And that has been filed with the Plymouth Registry of Deeds. And so that's probably why no doubt why your attorneys found it under that name. And so that is an explanation for the confusion there.
Okay, so just real quickly on the grant agreement itself, it is listed to the South Carver Union Society, Inc., so you're saying that is correct on there, and that's the name that should be provided?
That's our incorporation name.
Okay, so that's good to know.
So it's not an LLC? Okay,
No.
I just
No.
have one more question. So you said that's filed at the registry. Is that also filed with the Secretary of State's office?
Yes.
Okay,
And we received back the certificate from
Okay.
the
yeah.
state.
So it's already on file at the
Yes, it
registry?
is.
Is the new name?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Several months.
All right,
There you
so,
go.
so the deed already, so the deed that was in 1909 now has South Carver Union Society, Inc. on it,
Well, they
okay?
never could find that,
Okay,
so that was the problem.
okay, so that's,
So the problem was, when we went back to the state, they could not find us. We thought they'd just resurrect us and give us, access to it so we could update. That was not possible, so we had to negotiate getting the name, because again, as Bob said, it was too close to another name
Sure,
that someone else had.
Yeah.
okay.
And our whole vision for that is we have now petitioned the IRS so we could become a 501c3 as well.
Okay.
So, we're in the process of doing a whole bunch of things, so we're trying to dot the i's and cross the t's.
So it sounds like,
Mr. Chair, can I jump in?
yes, go ahead.
Because I only have a couple minutes. So it sounded to me like the deed has already been changed.
Correct, that's what we're hearing, to the South Carver Union Society, Inc., which is what is the grantee name on the agreement that you drew up.
Okay, so if I can get that document and, the book and page reference, then the rest of this will go much faster.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Can drop it off tomorrow morning.
Excellent.
All right, so we'll have that tomorrow. And then the other part, of course, is adding to that the restriction, the deed restriction for the historical preservation, if you're okay with that.
We
then-
certainly don't. That's going to be very important to us. As you can see what was done to the outside.
Okay,
It's very important to us that that looks exactly like it always has. And anything we would consider in the future, we're not preservationists. We would welcome the assistance to help
Okay.
us do that in the proper way.
so real quick to the attorney, since Attorney Corbo has to go, do you need to modify the grant agreement with the new information that we have, or before everybody can sign it, or is it okay the way it is?
So I guess, yeah, it should be different because now we know.
Okay.
But if, there's anxiety over getting the contractor paid, we could always sign it as is. And, it gives them 90 days or actually 120 days to straighten out the deed issue, but nothing prevents it from being done in a lesser time.
Okay, so we can sign it as is, you're saying, and move forward, and then make whatever modifications we need to in the
I
future.
think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
So we have Mr. Carter has a question?
So when the dust clears, right, there'll be an entity called the South Carver Union Society Incorporated that owns the church.
That is correct.
And if there are entities of some sort under the Union Society of 1909 or the Union Society of South Carver, are they being dissolved if needed? So it's clear as can be?
I think the original Union Society of Carver did become dissolved. Because again, we don't know when it occurred. I've been associated with the group since the year 2000. It's sometime before that. Administratively, we just didn't do something we should have. It lapsed, and by default, we became dissolved. Somebody else took the name.
I am looking at the grant agreement, and it does still state South Carver Union Society LLC at the bottom is for the signatures, so that'll probably have to be corrected anyhow. But I
I can
guess,
correct that. And so, Mr. Chair, I'm going to jump off now.
Okay.
If there are any other questions, give them to Glenn, and I can follow up with him
all right,
tomorrow.
all right. Thank you,
Shall we
Attorney
sign it
Corbo.
now, even if you have to change the LLC?
Yeah, I guess you should wait, but I suggest that you vote it now, and then, you guys can come in,
Wait.
whenever
Okay.
and put your signatures on
Okay.
it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, bye, everyone.
okay, dropping off.
Now, I'm compelled to ask, how does that relate to when we can get a check in hand?
So I think
Which
what
then
we're,
has to go to our bank, clear.
I know, so I think that the first part is that we're going to sign it, he's going to provide an updated,
Deed.
we can approve it tonight.
Yeah.
We can take a vote on it tonight, take the action, and then he'll have something here tomorrow with the updates on it, then the board will just have to come in and sign it. We can do that probably tomorrow, and then you'll have to sign it also as a group, and then once that's all signed, then I guess we're fine to move forward to cut the check.
Yeah.
So we could do signing tomorrow at
Yes.
some point.
So
Yes,
if
so
you
the
bring
attorney
the
will-
deed in too.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
happened to notice
absolutely.
that the attorney's language in there where you have to actually sign it, unless, you cross it out and initial it for now, it's up to you. But it's written as South Carver Union Society LLC. It probably should be corrected to be the South Carver Union Society Inc. down there. I don't know if that can be crossed out and initialed
I
or
would
whatever,
certainly
but,
think so. I mean,
okay. We could try it and see if the attorney's okay with it. All right, so the first part of this is that if there's any other questions for the board, I guess we understand the name's been, the entity's been clarified, the deed's been it being processed, and then it's just a matter of the adding that historical preservation, which you're agreeing to doing.
sure.
So
We're fine with
I
that.
guess, are there any other questions from board members on
Mr.
this?
Chair, may I ask a question?
Yeah, do you, just please for the record, just announce you know the drill.
Savory Moore, 12 South Main Street. I'm a former vice president of the Union Society. The question that I have regards the restriction What is the language of that restriction? Is there a time limit on it? Is it in perpetuity?
It's in perpetuity.
Perpetuity.
It's in perpetuity.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Any money that's given to an entity through CPA funds, if it's a conservation land, it has to have a conservation restriction. If it's historic money, yes, have a historic restriction. If it's affordable, has to have an affordable restriction. So that's part of the CPA law. But as my understanding, and I believe that's what Mr. Corbo said, that that refers to the outside of the building. If you have to make, some modernization inside for safety's sake or something, I think that's different. It's that the building itself has to stay in perpetuity as is this historic use, and then the outside has to look as it did historically.
Why were these, this restriction and this language with the grant not necessary 3 years ago when we got
Well,
additional
that's what
funding?
I'd like to know.
I think it was, but I think it was an oversight. It's sounding like that, from what I'm hearing from town council, is this is probably the right thing to do with the funds from the CPC. That
It's the only thing you can do.
It's supposed to
Actually,
be
it's
done
the
this
law.
way, and if it got missed 3 years ago, that probably was an oversight.
And through you, Mr. Chair, all future grants will be done that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, is that something that the CPC could put in their applications? So
They should.
That
It's
people
a
would
good
know this?
recommendation if
It's a
town
good
administrator
idea.
could.
Mr. Bentley, if I may, Mr. Chair, Mr. Bentley, the chair of the CPC could not be here tonight because he's picking. So he sends his apologies.
Okay. The reason I ask about the restriction, and I understand it, and I know that everybody's got, our good faith is to make this, a historic part of Carver forever and ever. But the reality is, as Mr. Andrews said, we have $7,000 a year in expenses, and we're relying on donations to make that. If at some point the Union Society unfortunately goes bankrupt, what happens then when we can no longer afford to own that building?
Well, the restriction runs with the deed. That's the way these restrictions
And
work.
what
They
is-
run with the land, excuse me. So no matter who owns it, they're going to have to keep it that way. Restrictions
They have to keep it
run,
as a historic building.
Correct.
correct. And the outside has to remain in its historical presentation, the way it is now. So restrictions run with the land.
Okay, I wonder if, worst case scenario, that there's a bankruptcy and no one's willing to take on the mantle of owning that building with those restrictions in place, and it just goes to ruin, it just gets
ruin?
neglected.
Well,
And
I
it
don't-
becomes like the Grange building.
I know. I don't think anyone here can answer that, but
Okay.
all I
Right.
know is if your society did decide to sell, whoever bought it would have to comply with that restriction.
Yeah, I don't think selling is in the cards.
I didn't think so either. I'm
Right,
just
but,
speculating.
we can't.
I hope
predict-
not.
We can't predict the
The
future.
greater likelihood is we would be giving it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be the most likely scene.
It's fine with
is-
me. I can't
is-
speak for the rest of the
Is
Okay.
giving it to the town if
Right.
we.
Are there any other questions from board members? Okay, if not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, so the motion is that we accept the grant agreement
Yes, and we're offering a grant to
with the preservation restriction.
with a historic preservation restriction
Okay.
to the South Carver Union Society LLC.
Inc.
Inc. Right, sorry.
So just to read back, or state back that motion is we're voting to, or making a motion to approve the grant agreement that has the preservation restriction.
Historic
Um,
preservation
Historic,
restriction.
yep. And to support the appropriation of the Community Preservation Act funds. So is there a second to that? Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. So hopefully we'll get that there tomorrow, if you can come in and sign it, review it and sign it, and then,
How many of us need to sign that, or?
let me check.
I think it's a majority, isn't it?
It actually has a name and a title, so it basically says, the South Carver Union Society, which we'll have to add ink, by, with the name and the title, by a vote of its board of directors on. So I guess you probably need to make sure you, I guess you put the word in, the town council says the board of directors took a vote on a date, and you're authorized to sign it in the title of the person signing it,
Okay.
So Robert, the board of directors had to authorize you
to sign
the
it.
document?
And we should attach, whatever that vote is, that document you get attached.
Yeah, any minuscule
I think the board of
administrative
directors can have a
thing.
meeting right after this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Perfect.
We
There you
got a small
go.
problem
Perfect.
right there.
All right, so if you could do that, then I think you can just sign it, and I think for now, we can probably cross out LLC and put an ink.
Yeah.
We can do, and so if we can do that on the document itself, and
She'll
then,
be my vote.
and then the board has to sign it, and you should be good to go.
I think that's great. It serves the intent for sure.
Okay,
And you'll call me tomorrow at the right time?
Shelby can probably print
I'll
it
be
right now,
here.
just take that out.
it is actually printed.
I mean, print,
Now,
edit it.
once it's
Yeah.
signed, we have no feel for this. How long before a check? What would be,
I mean, our meeting is going to end hopefully in the next 10 minutes or so, so what we could do is if we adjourn our meeting, I think it's already printed out, we could just cross the
He's
LLC and,
asking how long it takes to
Yeah,
get
but
the
Is
check.
is this
It's
a
gonna be in the
I
warrant.
see.
sequence check, or is it going to be in the warrant?
It's gonna be in the warrant. We did,
Yeah.
we,
so it'll be next week. So it'll be a
So we're
week.
having a special town meeting October 7th, and it'll be voted then?
Mm,
No, the warrant, the town warrant.
No, the warrant. The
Gotcha.
warrant will be next
Excuse me.
week, so it'll be cut, it'll be authorized in the warrant for next week unless we expedite it for some
And
reason
that
and
date would be what?
sign it. A week from tonight?
Thursday?
Well,
it's Thursday, the checks actually go out on Thursday, I believe, so it'd be.
So
a
what
week
was
from
date,
9th?
what date should?
October 9th.
October 9th would be, and the check would go out.
so there's no way to expedite that?
You can blame it
Could-
on us.
You could,
I already have.
no, we could see if town,
Let me check.
town administrator can check and let you know, but at least we'll get our part done.
So we can, I'll inquire.
So I guess if you want to go do your vote and all that, and we're going to wrap up our meeting, and then potentially you could sign it after that, and we could sign it also.
Sure.
And then that way, that's out of the way. And then it's just a matter of working on the
We'll sign
the
it
check.
in the room over here.
Right.
Yeah.
We can,
So we'll do our meeting and it'll
Yep.
meet you over here?
yep, so if you can,
Go into the
Okay.
select board office, we'll let you know, because
Oh.
there's
After.
gonna be a meeting coming
Oh, in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, after, because there'll be a
Around
meeting,
the
the
corner.
planning board will be in here after us, so we're going to wrap up, and then we can have the document ready for you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very
Thank you.
much. Okay, next item is just the town administrator update.
Mr. Chairman, why don't I skip for tonight, just
Okay,
for sake of time?
all right, then topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting, there be none? No topics, okay. And then we have the minutes of September 16th, 2025. If everybody's
Motion to
reviewed that,
approve.
just need to have a
Second.
motion and a second. Give Shelby a second here. So Mr. Hoffman made a motion to approve the minutes of September 16th, 2025. Ms. Ewan seconded it.
I did it.
Yep. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is select board announcements. Start with Ms. Ewens.
Yes, don't forget to come to special town meeting next Tuesday, October 7th, 6:30, Carver Middle High School, 60 South Meadow Road. Please be there, your vote matters.
Okay. Mr. Hoffman?
Yep, exactly the same thing. Let's make sure we all have a good turnout for the meeting. And also, I would like to wish a happy and healthy new year to all of our Jewish citizens out there.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I'd recommend also that everyone go to town meeting if you can. Be very important issues are being discussed. I'd also like to remind everyone, Old Colony Rochester Vocational Technical High School is having a Fall Family Festival and Touch a Truck Day, October 4th, between 11 and 2 in Rochester.
Okay, and hope to see everybody at town meeting next week, and the farmer's market's probably wrapping up in the next few weeks also, so keep that in mind. And with that, the next meeting that we have is going to be October 9th, which is a Thursday after town meeting, so that'll be here. And so I guess I'll take a motion to
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.